kind of went through everything I needed to know, like kit, crew, locations and stuff like that. Those images you showed, was that BTS from a previous thing then? Okay, so was that from a different music video?
This
or?
was my last music video that we did.
And you want to do a bit of studio stuff and some and you've got your location stuff as well.
I want to only use location, but I'm also going to shoot in studio just in case we don't have enough footage.
Okay, so because when I want to go through this because me and you had a really detailed conversation about kind of what you wanted to happen in the music video, and I don't think that's necessarily you've put into the pitch. Not that it's a bad thing. I just think I want to cover it. So you're thinking about doing this narrative, aren't you?
Yeah.
Where it starts off in this kind of very sunny, happy-go-lucky sort of aesthetic beach location. And it turns into this kind of slightly horror-esque cult kind of vibe video at the end, doesn't it? And it changes entirely in tonality. So the studio, because I really like the look of what you've got there, that looks really interesting. Would you, in the studio, you've talked about the lighting and the look and stuff, would this be for performance, i.e. singing to camera?
I think it would be more visual,
Okay, so conceptual.
Yes.
Because your video at the moment seems, there's a lot of narrative, it's very narrative, isn't it? And it's very, and I actually think it's got quite a lot of concept in it in terms of you're putting quite a lot of effort into the aesthetic and the aesthetic change. So it's got quite a lot of concept through the narrative as well. Are you going to be performing any performance on location? You're going to get them singing at all on location?
I probably might, if I do any singing, I will probably do lip syncing in the studio over location.
I think so. I think it might look really nice to have. I'm just thinking because I really like this narrative that you've got. I think it could look really good. But I think there's a lot of you've got the storyline going on there. And then this studio shoot would be a really interesting contrast. You could almost mimic what you're doing in the studio as well. You could have it bright and light and airy and get them to do a full run through of the song in a kind of quite warm, pretty tone, and then we could change it to your horror lighting here. And then have a full run through of the song singing to camera then as well. And then you can use that to dip in and out through your narrative to come in and out of this. And if you like just using that lighting, or if you want your performance in the studio to change with your video, you have the option to do that.
Exactly,
And if you don't want to use it, you can put them up and say, actually, I did this, but I don't like the cut with it, and you can do just a full narrative one, which is absolutely fine. But I actually think that would be a really good addition to that music video. I think it would be really good. Okay, great. In terms of your research then, you talked about deconstructions, and you talked a bit about industry. The only thing we didn't talk about was maybe talking about a bit of theory. So obviously you could look at music video theory by Andrew Goodwin, which you already sort of did in Unit 6. But there might also be some and it might be a bit out there, I don't want you to do loads of research into it, but there might be some good feminist theory you could look at here. You've got a kind of there's definitely a slightly femme vibe going on there, where you could kind of talk about the development of a person and why they would what it represents in terms of the character. There's a lot of stuff, isn't there, about witches and being burnt at the stake and all that kind of stuff and those kinds of things. So there's a bit of a cult, a feminist cult movement there that you could kind of delve into a little bit. And there's some really nice feminist theories. You could look at Judith Butler and people like that who would touch on the idea that might be on the fringes of this project, so something that you could hint at. It might give it a bit of depth. A little bit of depth to your research would be really nice. But other than that, it looks really good.
Thank you very much.
Well done, that's good.
Cheers.
Excellent.